Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Innervoice. I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine, and I am so excited to be with all of you today. This is the first show, and I'm so excited for the first show to have Sister Jenna with me. Hi! Good morning or good afternoon from wherever we are, from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. Hi, Sister Jenna.
Hello, my dear beloved. So glad to have you on the show, and congratulations for this being your inaugural show.
Yes, and it was so exciting because I was thinking that I wanted you to be on my show for the first one. I just feel blessed to have you here, and I know that you will give me an amazing blessing and everybody who's listening right now, or they will be listening to all the podcasts and the archives that will be coming.
Beautiful.
So, for all of you who are listening and don't know Sister Jenna, let me say a little bit about her. She's a spiritual leader, author, radio and TV personality, renowned speaker, and founder of Meditation Museum in Silver Spring, Maryland, and McLean, Virginia. She serves as one of the evolutionary leaders in service to conscious evolution, and was selected by Empower a Billion Women 2020 as one of 100 most influential leaders of 2015. Sister Jenna also serves as a principal partner with the Oprah Winfrey Network and Values Partnership on the Belief Team, a community of individuals from diverse spiritual, cultural, and faith background. She's been the host of American Meditating Radio for the past 20 years and the founder of Meditation Museum. And personally, I met Sister Jenna when I got to go on her radio show. And my experience was that after our conversation, tears were just coming, just pouring from a lot of just beautiful connection. And that felt so freeing. It's like the connection with myself felt so freeing. And then I had the opportunity to go and meet with her in Washington, and then we had the opportunity of having Sister Jenna here in Los Angeles with a group of my friends and colleagues, and it's just been an amazing path and a journey, and I'm committed to go to India with her. But more than anything, I feel honored to have you as a friend and to have you in my life. See, I'm crying again.
No, me too. I'm very pleased to be with you. And hello, everyone. Whenever we're doing radio shows and it's live, the multitude of scenes that can emerge are incredible.
Yes.
And I'm just blessed to have come into your story and into your narrative, and I'm looking forward for the rest of the story to unfold.
Absolutely. I know that recently you have released a CD, and it's also on, I think, iTunes. Inclusion. It's an inclusion revolution. And together with love. And I know that at this time, we really need love around the world. With what's happening around the world, with what just happened a couple of days ago in Las Vegas, it just seems like, we're splitting off with a group of people who are consistently moving toward love, and then other people who are consistently moving maybe toward their anger. And I remember in your talk when we had you here in Los Angeles, you said this beautiful sentence, which anybody who's out there that you're looking in their eyes, they are you. They are a part of you. And as I was listening to your inclusion CD and listening about, then what about all of the people who, for example, hate or want to kill and do all of that? How's that part of me? And there was this opening for me. It's like, maybe we're not looking at our own shadow side all the time. And maybe if there is still people out there in the world like that, that there is still a part of shadow side in us that hasn't been healed. And then we also we look at the world in a way that it's us versus me, or me versus them. And in the inclusion revolution, you're bringing an essence of bringing all within.
We've suffered a lot this week as a country, there's no doubt. I think our minds are grappling. I can only imagine how you're feeling, where a human being who just seems okay performs an atrocious action, an action that's coming from his thinking process, his thinking pattern, perhaps that shadow side, something that he just could not control, because that behavior isn't normal and it's not healthy. And that's one, Dr. Zeine, is that somebody, imposes something negative, but also the vibrations of that, the psyche of that, and the toll it's taking on all of us. We're all a part of this story. High, low, in, out, black, white, Jew, Christian, atheist. We're all a part of this experience that has touched us at a very deep level. And that's why I find it so important for us to always meet each other from the angle like, that's me. Because I'm just wondering, and it's something that I've experimented with, is it that I'm willing and am I able to give another person the kind of respect that I would give myself? And so if I'm willing to look at the other person as if that's me, then it's going to challenge me. I've got to give the best of me to me as I meet this person. And it's funny, because I was asking myself this question this morning. How would I look at Stephen Paddock, not knowing his narrative or his future destiny? And would I have looked at him like with me, and would even that look of love and acceptance shifted his decision in life? And that's why I say to everyone the importance of seeing another person as if you're seeing yourself, to see if perhaps we might leave behind an experience of the compassion, the hope, the love, the grace, the forgiveness that perhaps we also need for ourselves.
As you're talking about this, I remember a story that a lady was being raped, and the way that she spoke with the rapist, not only that he did not rape her, but also what he did after that conversation was he went and got help. He actually went to the police and got help. And I was wondering, I kept looking at, wow, what would stop me from the ability of doing that? I know I can love beyond comparison to anything else and anyone else, but what would stop me? And it would be the fear of getting harmed. And it seems like the vibration you're talking about, the love you're talking about, it has to go way beyond any type of fear. Or when we switch to love, maybe the fear goes away.
I think so, and I think both of us and everyone on the air, we've encountered moments where all the wisdom and all the dignity and divinity and grace of spirit that we know to be true just goes on off mode. And all of a sudden, this other personality and this other energy comes sort of sometimes out of nowhere. And you get so angry when you're driving on the road. This morning I was on the road coming from the meditation museum to the house. And somebody just, sideswiped, just came right in front of me. And I was just carrying on, and I observed the fact that I didn't get upset, I didn't mind. And that became the signal that I was in a strong place. Now, if I had reacted, it would have become a signal, Jen, do some more work. Stay in a more peaceful place. Nurture your spirit with the right kinds of thoughts. Or I would have asked myself, where were you? What are you thinking? Obviously, the person must have been in a rush. It's okay. Is my peace worth being, shattered just because someone's in a rush or someone wasn't considerate enough to think about my well-being? Do you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I've got to keep checking if I'm polluting my fortune, my truth, my goodness, my divinity, or am I getting polluted? And is it because of fear? Yeah. I think we all live with an element of fear. I'm still afraid of silly things like, I don't know, I go outside my yard and there's a raccoon. I'm really cautious when I see her, and I see the fox walking at night, and I'm concerned that Happy, our little mascot puppy, doesn't get, chased by her. I have a little fear. Someone's going to get hurt. Spirit is going to get hurt. And I'm just wondering, and I suspect, we're living in places of hurt in the soul, and it comes up at different times.
I love this sentence, is my peace worth it? Is my peace worth it? And then after I say this, if I say to myself, no, it's not, and I choose peace, then it seems like there needs to be a thought process that goes with that choosing of peace. Then that, would allow the fear, the anger, all of the other emotions that are rising up in my body based on another thought, to calm down, for me to become centered again. What type of thoughts do you suggest? And I know that as I was listening to the Inclusion Revolution CD, there were amazing suggestions, and with the meditations in how just to be centered. But in that way, when I say, is my peace worth it? And I say, well, no, I really want my peace. What type of thought process do you suggest?
Nice question. I think it's so important to pay attention to your thoughts, your thought process from where you are. For example, you've asked me this question. I can't say that I was on guard with my own thought process. I was just waiting to see what the scene between the both of us and your amazing listeners emerge. Brought it to my awareness. What are my thought process? Right now, it's of being a little bit more aware, more attentive, more mindful, in which I'm trying to be very observant that I'm bringing the right feelings as I speak to you. So now I'm more in tune with that awareness. In the past, what I do on a day-to-day basis is basically connect to a thought form of a higher version of who I am. And in Indian mythology, there are 108 deities, or what we call Shiv Shaktis, rather. And they're all female goddesses in Indian mythology. And each one of these Shaktis carry or possess one specific virtue or quality that they use to basically dance on the head of any demon that might come in front of them. And so I think at times I try to observe that strength that I know is in me. There's a specific quality that each of us have that is our strong point. Mine might be love and compassion. And so before I bestow, and I use that word very gently, before I bestow sorrow on someone, I might have had the thought form of, don't forget, you're the Shakti of love and compassion. And how would it look if the Shakti doesn't convey that to this person at this time? So I'll catch myself in the millimeter of 2 or 3 seconds. And so I have a form within my consciousness that I hold very strongly, that I know this is what my spirit is made of. The second thing is that I feel that we're all very wired to experience the energy of God's love and grace and beauty. And I believe that because of our lifetimes of experiences, the many lives of experiences, or even this lifetime, where I've been through some challenging scenes that weren't very pleasant, that I think the soul is holding to those experiences rather than the remembrance of the love that I was sent here with from God. So I hold these two reference points in me very strongly, that I come from God's love, and I come from this energy that is pure and unlimited. I come from God. So I have to keep reminding myself of that. And then the second thing is that I am a Shiv Shakti. I am a deity soul. I am this. And I know the qualities that accompany that form. So I use that as a part of my quiet nurturing, especially, Dr. Zeine, when I'm walking, moving around, not when I'm sitting in meditation, not when I'm giving a lecture, not when I'm doing a radio interview, but I apply that technique when I'm leaving the house, going into the car, when I close my car door, when I'm running late for an appointment, when I'm going for a cup of coffee, when I'm going to get something to eat. That's the point. Those are the areas you want to pay attention to, so that it becomes a very natural experience of having more of attention on the self without pressure.
So this is how I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it that there is a higher self and a higher level of, let's say, role modeling that I can uphold. For people who are religious, they already have that vision. For people who are spiritual, they might have that vision. For people who are not necessarily subscribed to that, they can still hold on to a vision of their greatness out there, and it's some sort of a greatness where they can connect to, and to uphold that role model no matter what. Because however, any parts of them that comes up, any emotions, any thoughts that comes up that disturbs them and their action toward others, connecting to the higher role model that they hold on to, whether it's God or any other spiritual figure, or if they don't have that, just, a good human being. Somewhere where they really see themselves as their greatest and that they're proud of themselves, to uphold that peace and keep going back to that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Yes, in some sense, definitely. And again, may I just emphasize, everyone who's listening, I don't look at God as a religious tenant, not at all. And for me, the energy of God is a quality. And if you value love, if you value peace, if you value purity of intent, authenticity in your words, and truth and wisdom and self-worth, I define that as God energy. And I look at that when you can come from that place, you can be an atheist and come from that place, because I guess the words or the labels are really important to you. But you can come from that place and say, today I choose to keep my peace as my religion. And so that's something that the soul can automatically sense if it's losing. If, for example, if you feel frustrated, annoyed, anxious, God forbid you get into the mode of getting jealous, critical, blaming people. Those are energies that make you feel peaceless, so you're away from your God self. You're away from the experience of God's love and power in you, and you're replacing it with an energy and an acronym that I use all the time called ALGE. A for anger, L for lust, G for greed, A for attachment, and E for ego. ALGE has taken away our power to love ourselves and our power to stay at peace with ourselves. And those thoughts are consuming us. It's in the media, it's in our politics, it even sometimes wreaks out in our religion, it's certainly in our relationships, it's in our culture. And so that's why when we meditate and become a little bit more attentive on what I'm thinking as I'm walking and moving around, it's essential. So I use the form of a deity because in Indian culture, a deity isn't a god, but it's a human being with a lot of virtues, a very high quality of virtues. And if you can't even interpret what that means, look at a baby at 6 months old. That's a deity. It's true. Really, they're really deities.
It's like a pure being that is just open to a lot of amazing experiences, and they're real. I remember a couple of days ago when you were here, one of the conversations that I kept hearing, and I kept hearing it also as I listened to the Inclusion Revolution, is the concept of just being real with yourself.
Very important.
What a 6-month-old
Very important.
has, just being real.
Yeah, very important, Dr. Zeine, because we're in this culture of deception, and deception sells. Fake news sells. Fake relationships sell. Not being yourself sells. Promoting things that give us a sense of living out of our normal, sort of a boring lifestyle sells. And so we come to each other with that very delusional sense of identity. And so that in itself is a stress on the soul. And that's why we can't be inclusive, because we're not real. Somebody who's real can walk into hell and have a really heart-to-heart conversation with the devil and walk out and go, okay, now you enjoy the heat. I'm going by the Himalayas. You know what I mean? It was just like, I just feel like that's exactly what would happen. It's because I'm myself, and I'm okay with that. And I'm not going to judge you because that's the part you're playing. And I believe the virtue connected to us being real is to be honest. And I don't mean that I have to tell you everything that's on my mind, but I have to tell myself, this is how I'm feeling. I'm not having very nice thoughts. I don't feel good about this person or about me. And I don't like that. And you need to be honest with yourself if you're going to feel any element of personal freedom as a person.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was at a location for a nonprofit organization, and I met this gentleman. His name is Galloway, which he was singing, and I really, really enjoyed his message. And
yeah, I know Sean.
Do you know Sean?
Oh, he was on my radio show.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I got his permission to have to put this song for us, and what a better place than to have you on the show and to have this message. So may I?
Sure. I bet you're going to play I Choose Love.
Yay! Yes, so everyone, let's together listen to Sean Galloway, I Choose Love.
I can see tears. I see a choice, love or fear. What do you choose? I can see peace, or I can see war. I can see sunshine, or I can see a storm. What do you choose? Now I choose the love where freedom flies from my heart, where the light keeps shining. And I choose to feel the whole world crying for the strength that we can rise above. I choose love. I can see greed, I can see caring, or poverty. So what do you choose? I can see gardens, or I can see bonds. I can see life or death coming on strong. What do you choose? Now I
Yes, I choose love. How was this for you?
Yes.
But what did,
We have
what
to
did
choose
it,
love.
Yeah, what did it bring up for you? Everyone who's listening, what did it bring up for you? Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
What did the music bring up for you?
Oh, continued amplification. Why this quality and energy is definitely more needed. And I always tell my friends and folks that I meet along the way, there are two very profound things that will change us instantly. One, go fall in love. Two, experience tragedy and see how they shift us.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that Sean is giving us the option of number one, just fall in love with yourself, fall in love with your environment, fall in love with the people that are in your life, even though you're trying to get rid of them. There might be something about them that really, really gives you a sense of joy if you just allow your eyes to see that.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that as I was listening to it, the word expectations came up for me. Where it's interesting where expectation, you know, when I hold an expectation of myself and I hold an expectation of others, how it changes that way of experiencing love. I remember I had to do like a TED Talk style for a television show, a Persian television show, and then I remember, you know, coming back from London and waiting to have an event, you know, as you were my guest, and for you to come, and then even this morning as I was getting ready for the radio show, and I watched myself in. When the expectation of myself at the event is to go perfect, my anxiety comes up so high that I go into a space of losing myself, and it seems like I expect the perfect. I have this vision of the grand concept that it would all happen, and anything that it shows that it's not that grand as I wanted it to be, then it goes into this disappointment, and then it's almost like love for myself also goes away. And I realized also that how much just being imperfect is perfect, and no matter what happened, I'm just talking about these 3 events which just happened, you know, this past week. They all just turned out beautiful anyway. And it seems like if I took away my expectation of myself and others and just, like we were talking about, be real and put ourselves out there, that the best of us and all that is around and everyone else just shows up. And that's perfect by itself.
Yeah. It's a process because I could remember, especially in my 20s, and 30s, I would say. I won't go any higher than that.
We're staying at
how that energy of perhaps not being authentic enough with me. I think that's where that was coming from back in the days for me. And I still have moments where there might be, seems to mean a lot to me in my interpretation in my head. And there is a consideration. I want to use that word. There's a consideration that everybody will be okay, you know. But I think after you've done like 1,000 events, 50 million talks, and you've met millions of folks, after a while you start to walk through life. That if you bring the best of you forward, it's going to have to be enough.
Yeah.
It just has to be. And I'm hoping that that's where we will all reach at some point, that being as considerate and thoughtful as you possibly can be will always be enough, because I feel the end of my journey and my last breath should be that I was okay with the soul of Jenna. I was really okay with her. And I think that's what I would love for everyone else as well.
So let's talk about inclusion revolution. I'm tempted to put the welcome. What do you think? Should
Yes,
I put
please.
the welcome? All right. All right, everyone. This is the welcome from Inclusion Revolution.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inclusivity Meditation CD. This CD is to help us come closer to our true inner power and to encourage us to embrace diversity. It was produced on a mountaintop at the Brahma Kumaris in Mount Abu, India, 5,000 feet above sea level. And despite the barrage of news left behind in America, these thoughts emerged from my early morning meditations in India. If you're like me, staying strong, remaining focused, clear, and creative is important to you. This meditation CD is not just a sitting down meditation, but I encourage you to listen to these meditations when going for a power walk, walking on the treadmill, preparing coffee, or on your way to work. You see, the anxiety, fear, and concerns for our own future and the future of our children is a current day reality. If we allow these emotions to continue in our narrative, it will slow us down, or it can keep us in an unconscious state of sleep. We are here to move our lives forward and to be motivated to live a life of faith and courage, and you will find the more good actions you perform, the lesser the anxiety, fear, and worry will be. But it all begins with our thoughts. These meditations are thoughts to simply encourage you to find a place inside yourself that is real for you. We all need to be truthful, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be real for me. The me that I'm comfortable with, and the me that has to be good enough for others. So I hope you'll enjoy these meditations to bridge any internal gap between your truth and reality, and to become bigger inside, to move beyond fears and sometimes feelings of despair. I wish for you to be a contributor to our world and move away from seeing any defects in yourself and others. So let's go on a journey and become so full of love and wisdom that we truly believe we have all that it takes to make a positive impact in our own life and in our world.
Yes, let's be a contributor to the world. So what brought up Inclusion Revolution from inside of you to the world?
Have you not been watching the news for the last year and a half?
Yes.
Yeah. What's been going on? Started from the presidential campaign. Then it started after November 8th. Not that I have anything against at all our current president. I accept him in the role that he's playing. Might not necessarily honor his behavior and his actions, but I accept him because he's God's child and he's my brother. And so that's fine. But I was so concerned about the way everyone was feeling around me. And even I had gotten to a point that I couldn't even write any more articles because I thought that it would come from a place of emotions that would have polluted my readers who would read those stories. So I'm in India in February, and I'm really thinking about how my life can contribute to a better society. And so I wrote those words on the mountaintop between the hours of 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. in the studio. When I got back to the U.S., I came across a young that tweeted me. His name is Joe Robb. And I looked at his Twitter handle, and it said explicit music, and I do production work. And I went, explicit? Don't think I should listen to his music. But I started to think that how am I going to understand the power of inclusivity anyhow? I am an inclusive person, period, but the hip-hop community is a community I know nothing about. And I hold certain stereotypical ideas about it as well. So I reached out to Joe Robb, and he says, I don't even know what yoga is or meditation. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you aware of the music that I produce? I says, I am, but I don't know why. I just feel like you could make the music to this. He tried once or twice. It was like a hip-hop meditation, and I go, Joe, can you go a little deeper? And Joe did. And the music that you hear on this track, on the at least the 10 tracks of meditation, not including the 3 songs by 2 of my very dear friends, were laid by this hip-hop up-and-coming artist who learned for the first time what meditation was and learned a whole spiritual sense of himself. And the second thing is, a lot of the words from the CD, Dr. Zeine, especially E Pluribus Unum, and We the People, and the resistance movement, came from the Bill of Rights, our Constitution. So I used our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our anthem, our logo. I used these words, and I tweaked them with spiritual ideas to make it more of an inclusive narrative. If anyone would hear it, it wouldn't just be someone in the body of a white person that would say, oh, this is for us, or someone in a black body would say, this is for us, or somebody in a Chinese body would say, this is for us. It was my aim that folks would feel my intentions, that it's time for us to come together and to talk about our differences, to hear what's different about each other, and to realize there isn't much difference between us. We all feel. And so that's the story of Inclusion Revolution, and I'm happy to say it's doing very well.
Yes, listening to it, it brings up a lot of openness into connecting with yourself. And as I was listening to each one of them, the experience that I got it's an interesting concept, which is not just a meditation that usually will just go to open up the space of the thought. It's a very intentional meditation, and this is something that I've also learned from you, and you've talked a lot. Many people who have some resistance to meditation, it's because they think, I can't just sit there with my thoughts. It doesn't go away, or if it goes away, I just want to sleep, or I don't know what to do with it, or there's just this space of that if I don't think, then my rage comes up, or my anger comes up, or my anxieties come up, and I don't even know what to do, so I get up and do something, versus just sit in it. And the path and the way that you have taught meditation and in your world and in American Meditation Radio and the Meditation Museum, as I came in and listened to you, it's a very intentional way of thinking and feeling and projecting and intending. And that's the meditation is an intentional focus and a hold versus just clearing your brain. Can you say more about that?
Yeah. If I were told to just sit there and don't think, I think I'd lose it. I really would. I just think that there's so much about who we are. We're so valuable. We're so rich in stories. And I'm not quite sure who actually started the notion that when you meditate, you're supposed to empty your mind. Because I've got to get up. I've got to pay my bills. I have to deal with my spouse, my kids, my in-laws, work. And I can't be empty. So I think a lot of people have separated their spiritual practice, or their meditative practice, to basically sitting down and doing nothing. And what I've loved about my spiritual community, the Brahma Kumaris, is that we are based in the knowledge of the soul, the knowledge of the narrative in the soul, the impressions that are sitting in the soul. And the knowledge helps us to decipher what are thoughts that are based on a very limited interpretation of who you think you are, versus knowledge and information that's based on your eternal self, a part of you that, you're going to always show up with a virtue, a quality, something good about your spirit. And when you perform actions from a really well-intended place, it's an immortal action. It's an eternal action, because good will always exist. So our study and our teachings is in a practice called Raj Yoga meditation. And I think when you think about the fact that our founder started this about 80 years ago, Dr. Zeine, and he placed woman at the helm of the movement because he felt that the nurturing qualities of women and the stickability of women were essential in maintaining a very authentic, very simple and genuine form of spirituality. And I feel that spoke to me. That spoke to me. I didn't want to empty my mind. I wanted to learn how to think constructively so I can amplify my life and expand my capacity of existence, and to actually observe my own story in front of my own eyes growing in a way that I'll be proud of when I'm taking my last breath on my deathbed. That I could see that I used every bit of pure energy that was in me as a soul in amplifying people's lives, in keeping my life amplified, in contributing to our environment, in not chasing after the illusion, but rather standing firm and facing what is an illusion until I'm able to allow that illusion to melt away so that my truth prevails. So, yes, you're right, and I'm glad that you observed that. It is very much intended in bringing us to a relationship process in our meditation, a relationship between the soul and the body, a relationship between the soul, the body, and other human beings. Am I able to bring the best of me in action? Mm-hmm. And that's the meditation that we choose.
How can people find you? I know that your show has been there for 20 years. You have about over 1 million listeners, and they can go to the AmericanMeditating.org. Is that it? AmericanMeditating.org.
Yes.
And they can go to that radio,
yes.
right?
Yeah, and just to refine it, the radio show has been existing for 4 years, but my work of spirituality in the D.C. area has been 20 years of the Brahma Kumaris here locally, but overall the organization's been around for 80. And yes, if anyone wants information about just trying to stay on track, visit us at americameditating.org, or if you happen to be national or global, go to brahmakumaris.org. I'll spell it BRAHMAKUMARIS.org.
And how can they get the Inclusion Revolution? With the same type?
On the America Meditating website, there are links to iTunes. You can go to Amazon. It's all over the web. So just Google Inclusion Revolution Together with Love by Sister Jenna, and it should come up somewhere, and you can choose. And we're also donating $1 to our hurricane survivors of Harvey.
Mm-hmm. You are
$1 from every album sold.
From every album.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. Yeah, we're such big spenders. $1. Yeah. So $1 from every CD that's sold, we're going to be donating it to Hurricane Harvey victims.
And I think the other side of you, which is profound, which I think by your voice, by your calmness, by talking about meditation, by talking about spirituality and love, I'm not sure if people who haven't met you know what a powerhouse you are. Because I think that one of the beauty about you and who you are is that it brings the both encompassing concept of fire and power with peace and water all together. And it's such an amazing combination to watch you go to White House and, state your point, or go to a space of, with politicians, or Oprah Winfrey, or the celebrities that are there, or when I was in Washington and came to the 20th year anniversary, and I remember, and I'm really bad with names, I'm sure you'll tell me, the woman who had all the ambassadors and was talking about you, and said that she doesn't let anybody in, and then you sat with such a quietness but such an intention that no matter how much she says, I'm sorry, we're not going to go and bring all the ambassadors of U.S. to sit with you, and you kept looking at her very calmly and said, well, that'd be great if you do that. They did. Yes.
They did, because, Dr. Zeine, I don't want anything. I love God, and I love humanity, and I love the fact that I've been through my beginning days of my ego stage with my spirituality, thinking I was God's gift to mankind, and I got humbled in many ways, and I continue to allow various scenes, relationships, situations to assist me in my humbling process as well. But again, I just have to tell everyone, please, everyone's going to get a chance. We're all going to get a chance to be our best. We're all going to lead. We're all going to follow. Some of us are going to go to sleep. Some of us are going to be awake. Tomorrow I have to be at the White House for another meeting. And then another day I have to be with, women who are being battered. You're going to be in a variety of areas, but it is your sense of self that is going to be essential in terms of the way God will use you to serve. And again, remember, when I say God, I mean that love, that goodness, that purity, that peace. Please delete a religious notion of God when you hear me say that. I'm talking more about the experience of the qualities of this energy that does exist, that needs to exist, in order for us to stop living through the news coverage that we're getting every day now on CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News.
Well, it's been a pleasure and a blessing to have you on to kickstart this show. So thank you. Then in between all the travel and the White House visit and everything that you had to do, that you gave me this time and my wonderful audience who are with us to listen to you and gain a lot of beautiful vibration, love, and wisdom from you. And so nice to have you.
It's my honor to be with you on your first show. And everyone, I am selective with the folks that I choose to bring in my friendship circle. I have so many all over the world in terms of connections and relationships, but I'm quite selective in who I will bring very close, because the folks that you bring close to you, there's a pact of trust and an energy of sharing that goes on. And Dr. Foojan Zeine is definitely one of those souls that I've brought into my circle, and I'm very happy that she has allowed me in.
Thank you so much, and I'm so grateful. And everybody who's listening, I'm grateful to have you, all of you, in my life. And don't worry, Sister Jenna knows I just cried with at a whim. And that is just the beauty of my heart to all of you. Thank you for being with us. And every Wednesday, 12 noon Pacific time, we're going to have this show on LA Talk Radio, and I will have that also on podcast. And if you go to Foojan.com, FOOJAN.com, and get connected to all the social media, all of these will be put on the social media for you and on the website. And until the next day and the next Wednesday that I'm with you, create a wonderful world for yourself and everyone around you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.